Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Tonight, Senate summons Minister of State for Petroleum and NNPC GMD to explain lingering fuel crisis in the country. On our 2017 review today, we turn our attention to Nigeria's huge infrastructure deficit and what experts recommend as a way out. At least 6 persons feared dead as deadly explosion rocks market in a village near Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. And dozens killed as bomber attacks Shia center in Kabul. Islamic State claims responsibility for the incident.
On Business News tonight, governors of Borno, Bauchi and Enugu State present the 2018 fiscal spending plans to the State Houses of Assembly.
On sports news, Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker set to have a heavyweight unification fight after reaching an agreement over how to split the proceeds.
And from Abuja, 2 years after the federal government launched the program aimed at reducing maternal child mortality in the country, some states are yet to key into the project.
We begin tonight with the decision of the Senate to intervene in the lingering fuel crisis across the country. Today, the Senate summoned the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Kachikwu, and the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Mikanti Baru, for a crucial meeting on Thursday, January the 4th, 2018. The chairman of the Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Senator Kabiru Marafa, explains that the two officials will join other players in the sector to help unravel the issues contributing to the scarcity. The decision follows a directive by the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, who asked the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources to cut short its holiday.
We will commence work from 2nd and 3rd, and the Minister and the GMD plus other stakeholders of DAPMAN, MOMAN, IPMAN and any interested party to come and appear before the committee to give account of what they have done. You would also recall that the Federal Executive Council has long before directed the Minister of State to make sure that he takes appropriate steps to end the fuel scarcity. But to the disappointment of the committee, the issue is still persisting, and this is what informed our decision to carry out more of an investigative hearing, because there are accusations and counter-accusations from the marketers. NNPC is issuing statements to the effect that they have enough stock to wet all the stations across the country. But however, going around again, you see a lot of problems all over the country. So this became a matter of serious concern to the Senate and the National Assembly in general. And the Senate President directed that all efforts must be put in place to ensure that we get to the bottom of this ugly situation.
In the meantime, the Director of Petroleum Resources, Laden Mordecai, is pushing for the distribution of petroleum products using the coastal lines. Mr. Mordecai, who visited some depots in Lagos to assess the situation, says there is an end in sight to the scarcity of petrol following the increase in supply of the product by the NNPC.
These are not very pleasant working days for authorities who superintend over the downstream oil sector in Nigeria. In the last 3 weeks and counting, motorists have had a Herculean task finding petrol, largely attributed to shortages in supply. As has become the routine, the Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, is in the field with his colleagues, and this assignment takes him to the depots in Apapa to run his professional eye on levels of supply. Here, there's a 6 million litres of PMS, or petrol, ready for discharge and onward distribution to fuel stations.
If you look at giving to majors, yes, majors will take to the municipality. And then you have people coming from surrounding areas to inundate these majors. So So what we want you to do is to dispatch it and give at least some adequate quantity to the independents. And as I said, if you can move some of this product from the Lagos coastal area to Ogara, Wari, and then Port Harcourt and Calabar, at least, just to ease, instead of allowing tankers to be flying all the way through from the southeast to Lagos and from the far north to Lagos as well.
From information gathered, that stock should be exhausted by tomorrow, while another stock is expected by Saturday.
Professionally, from our own position, I would like to say we have not been receiving regular stock. I mean, on average days we truck in excess of 10 million liters. That has not happened for some time.
On arriving this depot, a vessel with 16,000 metric tons is discharging, and that translates to about 23 million liters or 600 trucks of 33,000 liters capacity.
The last holiday too did not help matters. The seasonal days, I mean the Christmas day and the Boxing Day, there were not much loading in most of the depots, and that actually affected supply. Assuming that I've been loading on those 2 days, the scarcity must have eased by now.
A cursory look at the entire process and situation shows that while supply may be happening, the dispatch is rapidly slowed down by the gridlock experienced in Apapa. As it stands today, there's only one way in and one way out of Apapa, owing to the failed states of the roads. Also, while most depots may be receiving supply, it is not in commensurate measure to capacity and the demand on the streets. It tells you simply that there is a supply gap which must be plugged. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The Department of Petroleum Resources is not leaving anything to chance to ensure that petrol is available for all Nigerians. The government agency has been sanctioning airing filling stations and ensuring that members of the public are not extorted by petroleum marketers who have been selling the product at higher prices. This next report takes a look at the situation in Osun, Kaduna, Oyo, Enugu, Abuja and Anambra states.
Why are you not selling fuel to the masses?
Meet Mr. DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources, on the job of ensuring compliance to the federal government's policy on availability of fuel by the downstream sector of Nigeria's oil economy. In Kogi State, the DPR identifies the usual suspects as alleged antagonists, compounding the problem.
We observed that some marketers will shut their stations in the daytime and sell in the night at an exorbitant price. We are here to checkmate it and stop any marketer from extorting the public.
But a marketer in Oka, Anambra State, says he's on the straight and narrow and blames other marketers who have something to hide.
We buy from NNPC at the accurate price and we're selling at the accurate price and making our maximum profit. It's a clear sabotage by the marketers because you buy at the right price, you should sell at the right price.
In Enugu State, the NNPC mega station sells petrol at 143 naira per litre. The downside, the queue is out of this world.
There's high level of insecurity among the marketers. Many of them have stock, but because of this festive period and they want to make super profits, so they now jack up their prices.
In the northwest region of the country, the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is also a recurring decimal, where petrol stations pretend there is no fuel by day, only to sell by night at skyrocket prices.
They were caught selling to the members of the public around 2 a.m. in the morning at the rate of 235 naira per litre. So they condoned this, and now we have confirmed that they have a stock of about 4,500 liters.
In Osun State, sealed petrol stations are telltale signs that the DPR have paid them a visit and found them wanting. while motorists recount the massive inconvenience.
I've been here since 5 a.m. and this is almost 11 a.m. I'm just getting inward into the filling station.
More sealed stations in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, and consumers speak of the price hike.
I'll seal them and then we charge them for hoarding. And then we learned that they were selling above pump price.
We are buying the fuel at the rate of 200 naira per liter. And they even collect money for keg. If you have 5-liter keg, they will collect 50 naira for 5 liters.
In Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, the fuel scarcity is equally a conundrum. This has become the harsh reality of Nigerians. Even though the DPR officials appear to be doing their best to ensure compliance, is sealing stations the best measure in lean times, or is a short-term solution that benefits the masses more appropriate? Whatever the answer to that question is, except Nigerians develop wings and fly, we still need fuel to get from A to B.
From energy to security matters now, 126 inmates from Kuje, Kefi and Suleja prisons have regained their freedom after a visit from the Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory. In October, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation had inaugurated a committee chaired by the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court to supervise the implementation of the Executive Council's directive to decongest the prisons.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, accompanied by the Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory, arrived at the Kuje Medium Prison in Abuja. The objective of this visit is the implementation of the federal government's directives to decongest the prisons. Built with the capacity to accommodate 560 inmates, the Kuje Medium Prison has become overcrowded with suspects who are awaiting trial in the various courts around the FCT.
As of today, the present capacity for Kuje Prison is 560. And this morning, we opened out 823 inmates. Out of these 823 inmates, we have 222 convicts. And our waiting trial persons are 601. We have the longest serving awaiting trial here, who has served 11 and a half years.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice highlights the various steps being taken by the government to decongest the prisons.
The payment of fines for convicts of offences with option of fines, but unable to pay, kickstarts the process which will be replicated in prisons across the nation. A review of cases of inmates awaiting trial of upwards of 5 years will also be conducted across prisons.
8 months imprisonment of 30 months.
One after the other, inmates who have served 5 years and above, either as those awaiting trial or those serving their jail terms, had their cases reviewed by the Chief Judge of the FCT, as well as the Minister of Justice. At the end of the exercise, 126 inmates from Kuje, Kefi and Suleja prisons were set free. The Chief Judge of the FCT High Court advocates the need for the legislative arm of government to pass all bills relating to prison reform in order to fast-track prison decongestion.
This committee had written to the two legislative arms of the legislature, Senate and House of Reps, seeking audience respectively with the Senate President and the Speaker House of Representatives in order to simultaneously with the decongestion of prison to engage in the advocacy for the passage of the existing bills that relate to the Nigerian prisons, so that at the end of the day we will have a more effective prison services.
Congestion is a major problem across all prisons in Nigeria, and the consensus on how to decongest these prisons revolves around the need to reduce the number of inmates that are awaiting trial.
In part two, after the break, suspended member of the House of Representatives Abdulmumin Jibrin condemns delay in his court case against the House leadership. Please stay with us.